Let me ask you something. Are you ready to change your life? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because the truth is, your life doesn't change when you wish for it, hope for it, or wait for it. Your life changes the moment you decide that enough is enough. We've all been there, stuck, frustrated, tired of spinning our wheels. But here's what separates the ones who stay stuck from the ones who rise: decision and action. You want something different? Then you have to do something different. You've got dreams, goals, and aspirations, but let me tell you, those dreams don't work unless you do. It's not about motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Listen, changing your life doesn't mean you'll never fail. You will fail. You'll fall flat on your face. But that's not the end. Failure is not a stop sign, it's a stepping stone. The question is, will you get back up? Will you learn, adjust, and push forward? Some of you are waiting for someone to come save you. Let me tell you, no one is coming. No one is going to do the work for you. This is on you, and that's a good thing, because when you own your life, you own your power. Stop blaming your circumstances. Stop blaming your past. Stop blaming other people. Your life is a reflection of the choices you make every single day. So if you don't like where you are, wake up earlier, work harder, stay focused, cut out the distractions. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who push you, who believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself. You are capable of more than you can even imagine. But you have to believe it, you have to fight for it, you have to be willing to sacrifice for it. It's not going to be easy, but I promise you, it will be worth it. So right now, draw a line in the sand. Say, no more excuses, no more waiting. Today is the day I take control of my life. Because change isn't some distant dream, it's a decision. And it's one you can make right now. The only question is, are you ready? The moment you decide to change your life is the moment everything begins to shift. It's not something magical or out of reach. It's a choice, a decision, an intentional step towards something better. People often underestimate the power of a single decision. They think change requires months, years, or even decades. But the truth is, change starts in an instant. It starts with the resolve you make in your mind and the commitment you attach to it in your heart. That moment when you say enough is where transformation begins. Think about it. Every significant breakthrough in life starts with a decision. Someone decides they're tired of being broke. Someone decides they're tired of being unhealthy. Someone decides they're tired of living in fear, self-doubt, or mediocrity. Nothing external changes at first. The world doesn't suddenly shift to accommodate your decision. But inside, something ignites. A fire begins to burn. That decision is the spark. And if you nurture it, it can become an unstoppable force. The problem is that too many people sit on the fence. They want change, but they haven't fully committed to it. They say things like, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll wait for the right time. Let me tell you something, there is no perfect time. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed, and waiting will only keep you stuck in the same place. Change demands urgency. It demands a decision that says, I'm not gonna wait. What holds most people back is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But here's the thing, staying where you are is scarier than taking the leap. Because if you don't decide to change, you're deciding to stay the same. And staying the same means settling for less than you're capable of. It means living a life that's smaller than your potential. That fear you're feeling, it's not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're on the edge of growth. The only way to overcome it is to lean in, to make the decision and commit to it fully, even when it's uncomfortable. Making the decision to change your life isn't about waiting until you have all the answers. It's not about waiting until you're ready. You'll never feel completely ready, and that's okay. What matters is that you start. Clarity comes with action. As you take steps forward, the path begins to reveal itself. But if you wait, if you hesitate, you'll remain stuck in the same place, wondering what could have been. When you decide to change, you have to go all in. Half-hearted decisions lead to half-hearted results. You can't dip your toes in the water and expect to make waves. You have to dive in head first, fully committed to the process, no matter how hard it gets. And it will get hard. There will be days when you doubt yourself, when you're tempted to give up, when it feels like nothing is working. But that's where the power of your decision comes in. If your decision is strong enough, if your commitment is unshakable, you'll keep going. You'll push through the obstacles, the setbacks, and the failures because you've already decided that quitting is not an option. The beauty of making a strong decision is that it simplifies everything. Once you decide to change, you don't have to keep debating with yourself. It allows you to channel your energy into what really matters. Taking action. Every great achievement, every major success starts with a decision. The people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all together, weren't born that way. They weren't handed success on a silver platter. At some point, they made a decision. They decided to pursue their dreams, to overcome their challenges, to become the best version of themselves, and they didn't stop at the decision. They acted on it. They followed through with relentless determination, even when the odds were stacked against them. Your decision to change doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to come with a big announcement or a bold proclamation. It can be quiet, personal, and deeply internal. What matters is that it's real. It has to come from a place of conviction, a place of knowing that you deserve more and that you're willing to do what it takes to achieve it. That decision is the foundation for everything that follows. Without it, you're building on shaky ground, but with it, you create a solid base that can withstand any storm. It's important to understand that deciding to change your life isn't a one-time event. It's a continuous process. Every day you have to reaffirm that decision. Every day you have to choose to keep moving forward, even when it's hard, even when progress feels slow, even when you're not sure if it's working. That's what separates the people who succeed from the ones who give up. It's not about talent, luck, or resources. It's about the strength of their decision and their willingness to follow through on it day after day. You have the power to decide. No one can take that away from you. Circumstances might not be in your favor. Life might throw obstacles in your path, but your power to decide remains. That's your leverage. That's your advantage. No matter where you are, no matter how far you feel from where you want to be, you can decide to take the first step. And once you take that step, you can decide to take another and another until you've built momentum that carries you forward. Deciding to change your life isn't about perfection. It's not about getting everything right the first time. It's about progress. It's about making the choice to keep moving forward, even when you stumble, even when you fall. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you want. But it all starts with a decision. It starts with the courage to say, I'm not staying here anymore. I'm moving forward. The most powerful thing about decision is that it shifts your identity. When you decide to change your life, you're not just changing your circumstances, you're changing who you are. You're stepping into a new version of yourself, a version that's stronger, more resilient, and more capable. That shift in identity is what drives real, lasting change. It's not just about doing different things, it's about becoming a different person. Every time you decide to take a step toward your goals, you're reinforcing that new identity. You're proving to yourself that you're capable, that you're committed, that you're someone who follows through. That confidence builds over time, and it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle. The more you act on your decision, the more you believe in yourself, and the more you believe in yourself, the more you're willing to act. The powerful loop, and it all starts with that initial choice. Another key to overcoming excuses is taking small, consistent steps. Excuses often arise when a task feels overwhelming or when the goal seems too far away. But when you break it down into manageable steps, it becomes much easier to take action. Focus on what you can do today, right now, with the resources and time you have. Small wins build momentum, and momentum makes it harder for excuses to take hold. Progress, no matter how small, creates a sense of achievement and reinforces the belief that you're capable of moving forward. Excuses thrive on fear. And one of the best ways to combat fear is to take action. Fear loses its power when you face it head on. The more you act despite your fears, the more you realize that most of them are unfounded. You start to see that failure isn't as catastrophic as you thought, that discomfort is temporary, and that you're stronger than you gave yourself credit for. Action builds courage, and courage makes it harder for excuses to find a foothold in your life. Ultimately, excuses are a choice. They're not something that happens to you. They're something you create. That means you also have the power to choose differently. You can choose to take responsibility, to take action, and to take control of your life. It's not about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about refusing to let excuses dictate your future. It's about deciding that your goals, your dreams, and your potential are worth more than the temporary comfort of an excuse. Your environment shapes your outcomes. Many people underestimate just how much their surroundings influence them. They think they can maintain their goals and ambitions regardless of what's around them. But the truth is, your environment is either pushing you forward or holding you back. The people in your life are one of the most significant factors in shaping your environment. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Are they lifting you up or dragging you down? Are they encouraging your growth or keeping you stuck in the same patterns? The saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, holds a lot of truth. If you're constantly around people who complain, make excuses, or settle for mediocrity, it's only a matter of time before you start adopting those same behaviors and attitudes. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who are driven, positive, and focused on achieving their goals, their energy will inspire you to do the same. It's not just about avoiding negative influences, it's also about actively seeking out positive ones. Find people who challenge you to be better, who hold you accountable, and who support your ambitions. These are the people who will help you rise to the next level. They'll push you out of your comfort zone, encourage you to take risks, and remind you of your potential when you start to doubt yourself. The right relationships are like rocket fuel for your growth. They give you the confidence, motivation, and support you need to keep going, even when the journey gets tough. Your environment isn't limited to people. It also includes the physical spaces where you spend your time. The places you live, work, and relax have a profound impact on your mood, productivity, and mindset. If your environment is cluttered, chaotic, or uninspiring, it can drain your energy and make it harder to focus on your goals. On the other hand, a clean, organized, and uplifting space can help you feel more focused, motivated, and in control. Take a look around at your surroundings. Are they supporting your growth, or are they holding you back? If it's the latter, it's time to make some changes. One way to improve your physical environment is to create spaces that align with your goals. If you're trying to be more productive, set up a dedicated workspace that's free from distractions and filled with things that inspire you. If you're trying to prioritize your health, stock your kitchen with nutritious foods and set up an area for exercise. Your environment should reflect the life you're trying to create, not the habits you're trying to leave behind. When your surroundings are aligned with your goals, it becomes much easier to stay on track and make progress. The information you consume is another critical aspect of your environment. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with information, and not all of it is helpful or uplifting. Pay attention to the media you're consuming, the books you're reading, and the conversations you're having. Are they inspiring you, educating you, and pushing you toward your goals? Or are they filling your mind with negativity, fear, and distractions? The content you consume shapes your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your actions. If you want to change your life, you have to be intentional about what you're feeding your mind. Make it a habit to consume content that aligns with your goals and values. Listen to podcasts, read books, and watch videos that inspire you, challenge you, and teach you something new. Seek out stories of people who have achieved what you are striving for and learn from their journeys. Surround yourself with messages of positivity, growth, and possibility. The more you fill your mind with empowering content, the more you'll start to believe in your own ability to achieve great things. Your mindset is a reflection of what you consistently expose yourself to. So make sure you're exposing yourself to things that uplift and empower you. Habits are another crucial component of your environment. The routines and behaviors you practice every day are the building blocks of your life. If your habits are aligned with your goals, they'll propel you forward. But if they're working against you, they'll keep you stuck. Take a close look at your daily routines. Are they supporting the life you want to create, or are they reinforcing the patterns you're trying to break? Small, consistent actions lead to big results over time. So it's essential to cultivate habits that move you in the right direction. One way to create positive habits is to make them a natural part of your environment. When your environment is set up to support your habits, it reduces the friction and makes it easier to stay consistent. Your environment also includes the expectations and norms of the groups you're part of. Whether it's your family, your workplace, or your social circle, the people around you influence what you see as normal and acceptable. If you're in an environment where mediocrity is the norm, it's easy to fall into that same mindset. But if you're in a group where excellence is expected, you'll naturally strive to meet that standard. Surround yourself with people who set high expectations for us and for you. Their standards will push you to aim higher and achieve more. Another way to improve your environment is to eliminate distractions. In today's world, it's easy to get pulled in a million different directions. But if you want to achieve your goals, you have to stay focused. Look at the things in your environment that are taking your attention away from what really matters. It might be your phone, social media, or endless notifications. It might be toxic relationships, unnecessary commitments, or clutter that makes it hard to concentrate. Whatever it is, identify the distractions and take steps to minimize or eliminate them. Creating a supportive environment isn't something that happens overnight. It's an ongoing process of evaluation, adjustment, and refinement. You have to be intentional about the people you surround yourself with, the spaces you spend your time in, the information you consume, and the habits you practice. It's about creating a life that's aligned with your goals, values, and dreams. When your environment supports your growth, it becomes easier to stay motivated, focused, and disciplined. You'll find that you have more energy, more clarity, and more momentum to pursue the things that matter most to you. Your environment has the power to shape your identity. The more you immerse yourself in an environment that reflects your goals, the more you start to see yourself as someone who's capable of achieving them. You begin to internalize the habits, beliefs, and values of the people and places around you. Your environment becomes a mirror of the person you're becoming. And that reflection reinforces your commitment to your goals. The right environment doesn't just support your growth, it accelerates it, making it easier to transform your life and achieve your dream. Discipline outweighs motivation every single time because motivation is fleeting, inconsistent, and unreliable. One day you wake up feeling like you can conquer the world, and the next day you can barely muster the energy to get out of bed. That's the problem with motivation. It comes and goes, and you can't depend on it to sustain you when things get tough. Discipline, on the other hand, is what keeps you moving forward when the excitement fades, when the inspiration dries up, and when the challenges seem insurmountable. Think about all the times you felt motivated to start something. Maybe it was a new fitness routine, a business idea, or a personal project. In the beginning, you were fired up, ready to tackle anything. But as time went on, that initial spark started to fade. The workouts became harder. The business hurdles seemed overwhelming, and the project lost its shine. That's when most people quit. They think they've lost their passion. But what they've really lost is their reliance on motivation. They never cultivated the discipline needed to push through when the novelty wore off. Discipline is the engine that keeps you moving when motivation fails. It's the voice in your head that says, get up and do it anyway, even when you don't feel like it. It's the commitment to your goals, even on the days when you'd rather take it easy. Discipline isn't glamorous, and it's rarely celebrated. No one is clapping for you when you wake up early to put in the work. No one is cheering you on when you're grinding away behind the scenes. But that's the point. Discipline isn't about external validation, it's about internal consistency. Most people wait to feel motivated before they take action, but that's a backwards approach. Action doesn't follow motivation, motivation follows action. When you discipline yourself to take the first step, even when you don't feel like it, you often find that motivation shows up along the way. But you have to be willing to move first. You have to act despite your feelings, despite your doubts, and despite your lack of enthusiasm. That's the essence of discipline. It's doing what needs to be done no matter how you feel. Discipline is built through repetition and consistency. It's not something you're born with. It's something you develop over time. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen that muscle. Every time you show up for yourself, you build trust in your ability to follow through. It doesn't matter how small the action is. What matters is that you're consistent. Small discipline actions compound over time, leading to massive results. But you have to be willing to start, and you have to be willing to stick with it. There's a misconception that discipline is restrictive, that it's about depriving yourself of freedom and spontaneity. But in reality, discipline is what creates true freedom. When you're disciplined, you are in control of your life. You're not at the mercy of your emotions, your impulses, or your circumstances. You have the power to make deliberate choices that align with your goals and values. That's freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from chaos, and freedom from a life of mediocrity. Discipline is also what separates successful people from those who fall short of their potential. It's not talent, intelligence, or luck that determines success. It's discipline. It's the willingness to do the hard work day in and day out, even when it's boring, even when it's inconvenient, and even when no one else is watching. Successful people don't rely on motivation to get things done. They rely on the habits and systems they've built through discipline. They understand that success is a result of consistent effort, not occasional bursts of inspiration. Discipline requires sacrifice, and that's why so many people avoid it. They don't want to give up their comfort, their leisure, or their instant gratification. But the truth is, every choice comes with a sacrifice. If you choose discipline, you sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term gain. If you choose comfort, you sacrifice growth and progress for temporary ease. The question is, which sacrifice are you willing to make? Because you can't have it both ways. You can't achieve extraordinary results while clinging to ordinary habits. Building discipline isn't about willpower, it's about creating an environment that supports your goals. Willpower is limited, and if you rely on it alone, you'll eventually run out. Discipline, however, is about setting yourself up for success by removing temptations, creating routines, and establishing accountability. It's about making the right choices as easy as possible so that you don't have to rely on sheer determination to stay on track. When you design your life around your goals, discipline becomes a natural byproduct. Discipline is also about embracing discomfort. Growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone, and discipline is what allows you to step outside of it. It's the willingness to endure temporary pain for the sake of long-term gain, whether it's pushing through a tough workout, staying focused on a challenging task, or having a difficult conversation. Discipline is what helps you face those moments head on. It's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about learning to thrive in it. One of the most important aspects of discipline is self-accountability. No one else is responsible for your success. No one else is going to do the work for you. Discipline means taking ownership of your life and holding yourself to a higher standard. It means showing up for yourself, even when no one else is watching. It means being honest with yourself about what you want and what you're willing to do to achieve it. Self-accountability is the foundation of discipline. And without it, you'll always find excuses to quit. Discipline is a lifelong journey, not a destination. There's no finish line where you can say, I've mastered discipline and now I'm done. It's something you have to cultivate and maintain every day. There will be setbacks, moments of weakness, and times when you fall off track. But discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about getting back up and continuing to move forward no matter how many times you stumble. Every time you recommit to your goals, you strengthen your discipline. The beauty of discipline is that it creates momentum. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. What once felt difficult and unnatural eventually becomes second nature. Over time, discipline transforms into habit, and habit becomes a part of your identity. You go from someone who struggles to stay consistent to someone who thrives on consistency. That's the power of discipline. It doesn't just change your actions, it changes who you are. It turns you into the kind of person who achieves their goals, no matter what obstacles stand in the way. When you embrace discipline, you stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect mood. You realize that perfection doesn't exist and that progress is what truly matters. Discipline teaches you to take action, even when it's messy, even when it's imperfect, and even when it feels like you're not ready. It's about trusting the process and believing that every step you take brings you closer to your goals. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And the only way to cross it is to keep moving forward. Failure is a stepping stone, not a stop sign. Too often, failure is seen as the end of the road, as if hitting a wall means you're done, finished, incapable of moving forward. But that perspective couldn't be further from the truth. Failure is not the end, it's a critical part of the process. It's how you learn, how you grow, and how you eventually succeed. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try. And that's not living, it's merely existing. To fail is to be in motion, to be striving towards something bigger, and to be daring to dream. It means you're in the arena, not sitting on the sidelines. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard has failure woven into it. Nobody gets it right the first time, the second time, or even the 10th time. The most successful people in the world have failed more times than most people have even tried. It's a signal that something didn't work, and now you have the opportunity to adjust, refine, and try again. That's how progress happens. Through trial and error, through persistence, and through the willingness to face failure head on. The problem is that too many people fear failure. They see it as a reflection of their identity, as if failing at something means they're a failure as a person. But failure is not who you are. It's something that happens. It's an event, not a definition. When you separate your identity from your outcomes, you free yourself to take risks, to experiment, and to pursue your goals without the paralyzing fear of what might go wrong. Failure doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. Do you let it stop you, or do you use it as fuel to keep going? Failure teaches you more than success ever could. When you succeed, it's easy to get comfortable, to think you figured it all out, but failure forces you to ask questions, to dig deeper, and to confront the areas where you need to improve. It pushes you out of your comfort zone and into a space where real growth happens. Failure humbles you, reminding you that there's always more to learn and that mastery is a journey, not a destination. It's through failure that you gain the resilience, the grit, and the wisdom needed to achieve your goals. Resilience is one of the greatest gifts that failure can give you. When you fail and get back up, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. You build mental toughness, the ability to keep moving forward even when things don't go your way. That resilience becomes your foundation, allowing you to face future challenges with confidence and determination. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about bouncing back from it, learning from it, and using it as a stepping stone to something greater. Failure also forces you to clarify your goals and your reasons for pursuing them. When you hit a roadblock, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it worth it? Do I care enough to keep going? If your answer is yes, then failure becomes a test of your commitment. It weeds out the half-hearted efforts and leaves behind the people who are truly dedicated. If you're willing to keep pushing despite the setbacks, it means you're serious about your goals. And that seriousness will carry you through to success. Every failure contains a lesson, but it's up to you to find it. Too often, people get so caught up in the disappointment of failing that they miss the opportunity to learn from it. They see failure as a door slamming shut rather than a window opening to new possibilities. But if you take the time to reflect, to analyze what went wrong and why, you'll discover insights that can help you move forward. Failure isn't the end of the road. It's a detour, a chance to try a different approach, and a reminder that there's more than one way to achieve your goals. Failure also teaches you the value of perseverance. It's easy to keep going when everything is going well, but true perseverance is tested in the face of adversity. When you fail and choose to try again, you're proving to yourself that you have what it takes to succeed. You're building the kind of character that can withstand setbacks, disappointments. It's about showing up time and time again, no matter how many times you've been knocked down. One of the most powerful aspects of failure is that it forces you to confront your fears. Fear of failure is one of the biggest obstacles that holds people back from pursuing their dreams. But when you face failure and survive it, you realize that it's not as scary as you thought. You learn that you can handle it, that it's not the end of the world, and that you're capable of bouncing back. That realization is liberating. It frees you to take bigger risks, to aim higher, and to push yourself further than you ever thought possible. Failure also brings you closer to success because it eliminates what doesn't work. Every time you fail, you're one step closer to finding the right solution, the right approach, or the right path. It's a process of elimination, a way of narrowing down your options until you find what works. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1, 0. That mindset is what allows innovators, creators, and dreamers to keep going even in the face of repeated setbacks. They understand that failure is part of the process, not the end of it. Another lesson that failure teaches is humility. It's easy to think you have all the answers, to get complacent, or to overestimate your abilities. Failure has a way of bringing you back down to earth, reminding you that there's always more to learn and that success requires effort, discipline, and a willingness to grow. Humility doesn't mean doubting yourself. It means being open to feedback, willing to adapt, and ready to acknowledge when something isn't working. That humility is what allows you to keep learning and improving even after you've achieved success. Failure also has a way of building connections with others. When you're honest about your failures, when you're willing to share your struggles and setbacks, you create a sense of relatability and authenticity. People respect those who are willing to be vulnerable, who are honest about their journey, and who show that success isn't a straight line. Failure humanizes you, making you more approachable and inspiring to others. It shows that you're not perfect, and that's okay. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with perseverance. Failure gives you perspective. When you face setbacks and overcome them, you gain a deeper appreciation for the process, for the effort it takes to succeed, and for the journey itself. You learn to value the small wins, to celebrate progress, and to find joy in the struggle. Failure teaches you that success isn't about the destination. It's about who you become along the way. It's about the lessons you learn, the strength you build, and the resilience you develop. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it. It's a necessary step on the path to achieving your goals. The sooner you embrace it, the sooner you'll be able to use it to your advantage. When you stop fearing failure and start seeing it as an opportunity, you'll unlock a level of growth, creativity, and determination that you never thought possible. Failure isn't the end, it's a new beginning, a chance to start again with more knowledge, more experience, and more strength than before. Excuses are the chains that keep you from breaking free and living the life you truly desire. They're comfortable, they're familiar, and they're incredibly persuasive. But they're also the number one thing standing between you and your goals. Every time you make an excuse, you're giving yourself permission to settle for less, to stay in the same place, to avoid discomfort, and to delay progress. Excuses are the stories you tell yourself to justify why you're not taking action, why you're not trying harder, and why you're not stepping into your full potential. They sound valid in a moment, but in reality, they're just illusions, convenient lies that keep you stuck. The problem with excuses is that they're easy. It's easy to say you don't have enough time, that you're too tired, that you're not ready, or that the circumstances aren't right. It's easy to blame other people, external factors, or bad luck for why things haven't worked out. But the truth is, as long as you rely on excuses, you'll never take full ownership of your life. Excuses shift the responsibility away from you. And as long as you're not taking responsibility, you're not in control. If you're not in control, then you're letting life happen to you instead of shaping it for yourself. Excuses are sneaky because they often disguise themselves as valid reasons. You tell yourself you're too busy, but how much of your time is spent on things that don't actually matter? You say you're not talented enough, but how much effort have you really put into developing your skills? You claim you're waiting for the right opportunity, but how many opportunities have you let slip by because you were afraid to take a chance? Excuses are clever, and they always seem convincing in the moment, but if you look closer, you'll see that they're just a way of avoiding responsibility and avoiding action. One of the most damaging effects of excuses is that they create a pattern of inaction. The more you make excuses, the easier it becomes to keep making them. You build a habit of justifying your lack of effort, and over time that habit becomes a way of life. You start to believe your own excuses, and before you know it, you're stuck in a cycle of mediocrity. You convince yourself that you're doing the best you can, even though deep down, you know you're capable of so much more. Excuses rob you of your potential because they keep you from even trying. Excuses also rob you of your confidence. Every time you make an excuse, you're sending a message to yourself that you're not capable, that you're not strong enough, or that you're not good enough. Over time, those messages start to shape your self-image. You start to see yourself as someone who isn't cut out for success. And that belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Confidence comes from taking action, from proving to yourself that you can handle challenges and overcome obstacles. But when you make excuses, you deny yourself those opportunities to grow and build confidence. Breaking free from excuses starts with self-awareness. You have to be willing to call yourself out, to recognize when you're making excuses, and to hold yourself accountable. It's not easy to admit that you've been holding yourself back, but it's the first step toward change. You have to be honest with yourself about the role you've played in your own life, about the ways you've avoided responsibility, and about the areas where you've settled for less. Self-awareness is uncomfortable, but it's also liberating because it puts the power back in your hands. Once you recognize your excuses, you have to challenge them. Ask yourself if they're really true. Are you really too busy, or are you just not prioritizing your time effectively? Are you really not capable, or are you just afraid of failing? Are you really waiting for the right time, or are you just procrastinating because you're scared to start? When you start questioning your excuses, you will often find that they fall apart under scrutiny. They're not as solid as they seemed, and once you see them for what they are, they lose their power over you. Overcoming excuses requires a shift in mindset. You have to move from a mindset of limitation to a mindset of possibility. Instead of focusing on why you can't do something, focus on how you can. Instead of seeing obstacles, look for solutions. Instead of waiting for perfect conditions, take action with what you have right now. A mindset of possibility doesn't ignore challenges, but it approaches them with a sense of creativity, determination, and resilience. It's about finding a way forward no matter what stands in your path. Discipline plays a key role in breaking free from excuses. Excuses often come from a place of seeking comfort, avoiding discomfort, and taking the easy way out. But discipline is about doing what needs to be done, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, and even when you don't feel like it. Discipline helps you override the temptation to make excuses and instead take consistent action toward your goal. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about showing up every day, regardless of how you feel, and making progress little by little. Another way to overcome excuses is to focus on your why. When your reasons for achieving something are strong enough, your excuses won't stand a chance. Your why is your purpose, your motivation, and your driving force. It's the thing that keeps you going when the work gets hard, when the progress is slow, and when the setbacks pile up. When you're clear about your why, you'll find it easier to push through the resistance, to silence the excuses, and to stay committed to your goals. Accountability is also a powerful tool for breaking free from excuses. When you have someone to hold you accountable, whether it's a friend, a mentor, or a coach, you're less likely to let excuses derail you. Accountability creates a sense of responsibility and urgency. It reminds you that your actions or lack of actions have consequences, not just for yourself, but for the people who are counting on you. When you know that someone is watching, supporting, and expecting you to follow through, it becomes much harder to give in to excuses.